Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch, click on the link in the description below to buy it at the lowest price anywhere online. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch Chronograph Canopus Gold reference 310.60.42.50.02.001. I'm going to talk to you about the bezel, the dial, the case, the bracelet, the movement, give you a little history, try it on, and give you my thoughts. So let's start. This watch is a very special watch. In fact, it's, as I believe, Omega's most expensive watch, and it retails, at least as of 2023, for $54,200, but you can buy it at jazztime.com for much less than that, and you can find out the price by clicking on the link in the description below. Now, what makes this watch so special? Well, arguably the Speedmaster Moonwatch is Omega's most iconic, most recognizable, best top-of-the-line watch. It's their Daytona, it's their Royal Oak, it's their Nautilus, it's their tonneau-shaped Richard Mille. Okay, the Speedmaster is the watch that went to the moon not once but 6 times, and it's been part of all 6 moon landings. And so Omega has played a big part in the watch world in terms of this watch, the Speedmaster watch, and it's an iconic watch. You know, there's not many watches that went to the moon. This is one of them. Actually, I don't think there's any watches that went to the moon. This is one of them. This is it. So it's an iconic watch. And to put this watch in a precious metal in white gold, as Omega calls it, Canopus Gold, is another level. It's the highest level. Okay. So if you want to get a Speedmaster, but you don't want a regular Speedmaster, you want to have the best Speedmaster, the Speedmaster of all Speedmasters, the Speedmaster that will make other Speedmasters look really slow, then you got to get this Speedmaster. So what kind of things are special about it? Well, let's go through that. Well, first of all, it's made of Canopus gold. Now, Canopus, let me remind you, if you don't know what it is, it's actually a star that shines 71 times it's 71 times bigger and 10,000 times brighter than our sun. And it's actually a point of reference for many space agencies when they're looking out into space by looking for the Canopus. And why do they call it Canopus gold? Because this white gold is very special in that it shines brighter, it has a higher brilliance and whiteness, as well as longevity. And white gold is already known for being beautiful, but this is not just any white gold, it's Canopus white gold. And how is it composed? Well, the Omega site says that it has 75% gold, and it has around 20% palladium, and it has small quantities of platinum and rhodium, which provide for this beautiful bright color of white gold. In Omega's words, they call it the Canopus white gold. Okay, and the entire watch is made out of it. It means the bracelet, the case, the pushers, the crown, the bezel going around the bezel, that part, the case back. Okay, and it's all made of this white gold. Now, Omega has typically not made this watch in anything other than stainless steel, which makes sense because this was a tool watch. It was a sporty watch, and therefore making it in steel really made a lot of sense. Now, when they first started making this watch, they made it a few times in gold, but they stopped. They only did it for special editions, but they stopped doing that, and for quite some time. The only variation they would do is put either a plastic crystal on or a sapphire crystal on, and that was about it. And they always made the dial black. That's how you could tell that this watch here is something special, because this Speedmaster has a silver dial. All the other stainless steel Speedmasters are in a black dial. Okay, so this watch being with a silver dial really makes it stand out, and anybody who knows anything about the Speedmaster will know that the Speedmaster always comes with a black dial. This one being white is quite special. All right, so let's also talk, since we're looking at the case here, let's talk a bit about it. Now, the case itself is 42 millimeters in diameter. That's from my thumb to my index finger. That's the 4 o'clock to the 2 o'clock position, and you can see that it's not too big. I'm going to try it on in a little bit, and you'll be able to actually see for yourself that 42 millimeters is quite a good size. Now, I guess that's no surprise. They've been making this watch for quite some time, and it's quite iconic. It's the same size and dimensions as the other stainless steel versions of it. Now, I'm just going to turn it on its side so you can see what kind of height you're looking at, and the height or the thickness is 13.2 millimeters. Now, that's not thin, but it's certainly not thick. To give you some reference, a Rolex would be around 12 millimeters, but this is a chronograph, I might remind you, okay? And even, let's say, if you were to compare this to a Patek, I think the Patek chronograph is around 11 or 12 millimeters. I want to say somewhere in that range. So it's not much thicker. It's a little bit thicker, but Omega's never been known for making thin watches, but 13 isn't big by any stretch, right? So it's a fairly good size. Another measurement you should look at is lug to lug. Now, what that means is the vertical position from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, going from the very bottom of the watch to the top. The lugs is where the bracelet connects to the watch, and that is 47.5 millimeters, which is a good size. Is not a gigantic size. By comparison, if you look at, like, for example, a very big watch, which is the Richard Mille, that watch is 47 or 50 millimeters. This is 47.5. So it's big, but it's not too big. Okay. And a lot of people can wear this. And the weight of this watch is 236 grams. Now, how much is that? That's actually like half a pound, because there's 450 grams, if I'm not mistaken, in 1 pound, and 230 is about halfway through that. So it's like half a pound. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy watch. All right. So, okay. Anyways, that's the case. Now, let's talk a bit about this dial. As I was telling you earlier, okay, that the dial is silver, and that's not a very common thing. All the other ones, all the stainless steel ones, that is, are made with a black dial, and this one is silver. And I can show you. Look at the center ring. It's actually more intricate and beautiful than you might notice at first glance. Look at the dial. The center ring is actually a sunray finish. It means it kind of radiates out from the center, and then if you look at the periphery on where the ring is, where the hour markers are, that's actually a matte finish. So it kind of contrasts it, so you can see sort of two different two different. The dial gives the dial a lot of texture. And if you look at the subdials are sunken in. They're not just flat. They could have just easily done it very flat, but they didn't. That's attention to detail, making the subdials sunken in. And if you look at from the center, it kind of radiates out. It's a circular pattern in the center, and it doesn't radiate all the way out to the edge. It only radiates part of the way. It's quite a special dial. Look at it in depth, and you'll realize that Omega really spent quite a bit of time making their flagship dial something special. Okay. All right. So that's the dial. Let's move on to the bezel here. Now, the bezel is made of anodized aluminum. Now, you might wonder, why isn't it made of ceramic? I'm not quite sure. A lot of brands are doing ceramic this, ceramic that, so it doesn't scratch. I'm not sure exactly why. If I had to guess, though, I would actually say it's a throwback to, they're trying to keep the original look of it. Of course, they could have done it with ceramic. I mean, it's not like it cost that much more, and if you're charging 50-something thousand for it, of course they could do it. But, aluminum has a slightly different look to it. Ceramic is very shiny, looks very modern, but I think they wanted to keep this sort of vintage look. And the only way to do that is to use aluminum, because it has more of a dull look. But they didn't just use any aluminum. They used anodized aluminum, okay? And it's a process that they do to it to make it harder than regular aluminum and more resistant to damage. And not to mention, it looks really good. Now, if you look at the bezel insert itself, it's thin, and it looks like the old school way that the original Speedmaster looked. So I think it looks quite beautiful. Okay, let's talk about the crystal. The crystal, it's actually not that special in the sense that it's a sapphire crystal. They don't make it on a plastic crystal. Some of the other Speedmasters, they do it on a plastic crystal, and I believe they do that to keep it original, like how it was originally. But that, from a practical aspect, isn't good because they'll scratch, and rightfully so. On the most expensive one, they don't give you that option. They only allow sapphire. Now, sapphire has a hardness 9 out of 10 on the Mohs scale, which only thing harder is a diamond, so it's very difficult to scratch. But that's nothing unusual. Almost all major watch brands are using sapphire crystals because you need to be able to see through your watch, and you don't want to have scratches that are going to impede the vision of the watch. Okay. All right, now let's move on here to the bracelet. Now the bracelet is a Speedmaster bracelet. The Speedmaster bracelet, of course, as I said, is made out of Canopus gold or white gold. And what you can notice about the bracelet, it's not any different from any other Speedmaster bracelet, but it is still a very beautiful bracelet. As you can see, the finishing, and it has 5 links across. There's one big one in the center, followed by 2 small ones flanking it, and also a large one on the outside. So that makes for 5 total links going across. Okay, all right, so not so much to do about the bracelet. Now let's talk about the movement here. Now the movement is a caliber 3861. Now let's turn it over so you can see it, right? This movement here is a manual wind. That means you have to manually wind it. Now you might wonder, why would you want to manually wind a watch? Well, they thought that in space, since watch was built for space, that the rotor might not turn properly in outer space because there's no gravity to pull on the rotor. So therefore winding it would be a better solution, which is why they came up with, when they first went to the moon, they had no idea. It turns out, if I'm not mistaken, that even one with a rotor would still work up there because the risk getting movement and it will still turn. But okay, it doesn't matter. They've stuck with the manual wind. And another benefit to having a manual wind movement is that you can see the case back and the inner workings of the movement unimpeded. There's nothing to stop you from looking through and seeing the movement. All right. Now, of course, I could go into a little more detail about it, but I'll just say that the movement is done to perfection. It has beveled edges, Geneva stripes, and it's just very well done movement. Not that much to say. I mean, it's just a beautiful movement. Okay. All right. So let's get to the next part, which is me trying this watch on and giving you my thoughts. I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, and here it is on my wrist. As you can see, it looks very, very beautiful. Now, as of the making of this video in 23, the watch is retailing for around $54,000 and can be bought at jazztime.com for around $30,000 and change. You can do so by clicking on the link in the description below if you want to buy this watch, which is why we're making this video. We're not making it for our health. We're not making it for fun. We're making it to make money. So if you're watching this video and you think you want to buy this, please do yourself a favor and buy it at jazztime.com. You'll save money and you'll help us stay in business and make these great YouTube videos. So what are my thoughts? My thoughts are that, well, around this $30,000 range, there's a lot available to you. Now, you could buy any one of the Rolexes pretty much. You can even buy a gold Rolex. You could buy a gold Submariner or gold GMT, any one of these beautiful, top brands. Now, why would you want to spend 30-something thousand on an Omega? Well, I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, it's an iconic watch, as I said. And second thing is that this watch is for someone who's looking for an undercover watch, someone who does not want to wear a very showy, flashy yellow gold or rose gold watch. They want to wear an expensive watch, a beautiful watch, but they don't want everybody to know about it. So if you wear an Omega that looks like this, the only difference that someone could see from afar is the dial, and they'd actually have to know that the silver dial meant gold as opposed to steel. No one's going to bother you. You don't usually hear about people getting robbed for their Omega. You do, however, hear people getting robbed for their Rolex. So wearing this Omega is unlikely to make you a target, which is a very good proposition for those who want to stay undercover yet still wear a beautiful watch. Now, Omega is also making this same watch in other material such as yellow gold or rose gold, but again, having it in those precious metal make this watch very flashy and could potentially cause you a lot of problems. So this is for those people that are looking for an undercover watch that has a massive amount of history behind it, has excellent quality, is made of a precious metal, and is from a top brand. I would say Omega is right underneath Rolex, and in terms of number of watches sold, it's probably more, but in terms of revenue, it's probably less. But Omega is definitely up there. I would probably have to say Rolex, Cartier, Omega are top sellers. in terms of how much revenue they actually bring in. Okay, so these are very top brands. All right, so those are my thoughts. And if you look at the way that the watch is polished and its history and it being so exclusive for all those characteristics that I just pointed out, I think this would be an excellent buy, especially at that. If you buy it at a discount, which you can do so at jazztime.com, then it makes sense. If you're buying it at 50,000, I don't think it makes sense. You could buy a Patek for this price, so that probably would be a better choice. But at this 30,000 and change range, you know, I think this watch is starting to make quite a bit of sense. Okay, so if you want to buy it, please click on the link in the description below to buy it at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.